Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 22 of the FPL Family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and we are going to be looking ahead to game week 13 of FPL. And I don't know about you, I've actually not spent that much time looking ahead to game week 13 in preparation for this video. You guys that are following us will know we've been on holiday for a few days, so we've been spending time with the likes of Buzz Lightyear, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and not spending time with the likes of Eden Hazard, Sané, Salah, all the people that we should be spending time with to prepare for this video. Why don't we? Well, we've got a lot to cover, right? We've got to cover Champions League games, because a lot happening in those games. We've got to look ahead to the game week. We're going to do transfers, captain picks, do my top points pick, do jammy pick. Who knows how long this video is going to be. And actually, you said it just as we were coming on, because we've got this game week, haven't we? And then we've got another game week on Tuesday, right? Deadline is Tuesday.
I mean, Sunday night's video, goodness knows how long that's going to be.
Because we've got to kind of react to game week 13 and then look ahead to 14. It could be like a 2-hour feature length.
People will be bored of us. You have to get your popcorn in before we start.
Absolutely. Let's worry about that when we come to it. For now, let's focus on game week 13. Let's start with the Champions League. Why don't we start with that game in Sevilla? I mean, Sevilla-Liverpool, before I give my take on it, what did you make of it as a kind of neutral watching the game?
So what did Moreno do? Just decide he wanted to swap teams at half-time, or...?
He had a difficult game. He had a difficult game. Difficult second half.
Yeah.
So I think from an FPL perspective, it was a typical Liverpool game. You look at the first half, Mane's in the points, Salah actually not in the points, strangely, but Firmino looking good. And then second half, it just fell apart, and Moreno kind of regressed a bit back into what he was before. He was giving away dodgy free kicks and missing front post headers and stuff. And actually, the Liverpool defensive frailties kind of came to the fore, to the point where, the Hendersons and the people like that weren't taking the game by the scruff of the neck, really. From an FPL perspective, I don't know what to say, really. I mean, for those of you that are on Moreno, what do you think? Do you think that makes him... do you think that makes him less of an asset now from an FPL perspective? Because he's looking pretty solid up until that game, and now he's maybe regressed a little bit.
I mean, I don't know. I'm as I've said numerous times in the last few weeks, I'm not a big fan of Liverpool defenders as FPL assets. I just think that you're all over the place. Granted that at home lately you've been playing well, you've been keeping clean sheets, but you've got this potential in you to just be dire for a second half. Yeah. And so for me, no, I'm avoiding you, of course. I mean, I have got 2 Liverpool assets. I've got 2 striking assets at Liverpool, and for me, they're the ones to go with. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with Liverpool defenders.
I think this weekend is the acid test, isn't it? Because we're going to come up against a very
You've got Morata and Hazard coming at you.
Chelsea duo, right? So Hazard looks absolutely the player to have right now, as does Morata. And I think, we've sat on vlogs over the last few weeks and the last few months and saying, which one of those do you go for? At the minute, it looks kind of hard not to double up on those. If you look at the fixtures after the Liverpool game, they look very, very good. We'll come to Chelsea in a bit more detail later on. But them 2, Fabregas, one of Alonso or Azpilicueta, I think there's a lot of FPL choices to be made around Chelsea over the next few weeks.
I agree. I just think that, they've had a long trip for Champions League.
Azerbaijan, wasn't it?
Yeah. Last night. Granted, it was an earlier game because it was in Azerbaijan, but they've still had a long journey. Still played a fairly decent team.
Well, Morata was rested for the first half, didn't he? So he didn't play the full game.
But I just think that I'm not making any rash decisions about Chelsea until after. Okay. But as you say, Chelsea fixtures after Liverpool this week, looking very strong.
Do look good, don't they? Yeah. And what about United? Lost 1-0 to Basel, which not a great result. I don't think it's going to stop them getting through, in all honesty. From an FPL perspective, again, the dynamic, they looked reasonable, I guess, with Pogba back. He's still kind of bedding in. Lukaku.
I was going to say, Lukaku, are you still thinking, is that your thinking with Morata? Or?
Well, interestingly, in the Basel game, I mean, we didn't watch it because clearly we were away, but from what I've heard, he kind of hit the woodwork. He missed an open header, missed a couple of good chances. So he's getting in those positions to score the goals, but not scoring them. So I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of feel good that he's in the positions, but clearly bad that he's not finishing them. From an FPL perspective and a Premier League perspective, the key thing for me is what happened when Zlatan Ibrahimovic come on. So Zlatan came on, and Lukaku kind of got pushed a little bit wider than he would ordinarily like to accommodate Zlatan. So that for me is a concern, because that's not his position. I think Jose's come out a couple of times and said that he sees them both playing together. Maybe Zlatan as a 10 behind Lukaku. How much can we read into that Basel? What happened in that Basel game? Was it, is that going to happen? Is Zlatan going to be coming on in these games and pushing Lukaku wide? If he is,
let's see.
I'm not sure I want him because I don't want 11.5 million in my team wide in that United side. So that's something to have a look at. City again. How did City get on in the Champions League? Did you see?
I didn't. I think they won, didn't they? I was, if you remember, I spent my evening just watching the Spurs tick through in a dark hotel room with 2 sleeping children. I believe that it was a City victory, but let me just confirm that.
I'm sure they did. Let's talk about Spurs then for a sec. So Spurs got through against Dortmund.
Really pleased.
Down to top of the group.
Top of the group.
Yeah.
Really pleased about that. Obviously pleased with Sonny and Kane again. Not much to say about Spurs other than good bit of grit coming from a goal down.
You're away, right? You're in Dortmund.
We were away.
That's a really good result.
Yeah, I mean to get points out of both games against Dortmund and both games against Madrid, I'm really pleased with where we're going. I think
Dele Alli 2 assists, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think we are looking really strong. I think the only area of contention really for me at the moment is the Spurs back line. With we're definitely not the same without Toby. So does that affect you from a fantasy point of view with other defensive assets from Spurs? Because I don't think we're as likely to keep clean sheets without him. However.
Okay, all right.
Good.
I think that's pretty much it. We shouldn't talk about Paris Saint-Germain and Celtic for any of the Scottish fans that might be tuning in, the Celtic fans. I think the less said about that, the better. And the Arsenal game, I think, we got on the TV, I think it's just finished, and I think, I missed the last 5 minutes, but I think Arsenal lost 1-0. So very much a B team that I think they've put out there. Everton about to kick off against Atalanta, which is coming up next. So I think that's pretty much the roundup. From an FPL perspective, lots going on again with the Champions League, lots to keep an eye on. For me, the key talking points are the Chelsea boys, and that's where we should start, I think, for the game week coming up, which is game week 13. Big game in this game week, Liverpool versus Chelsea at Anfield. I'll give my view in a minute. What do you make of it?
I'm really looking forward to this game. Really looking forward to it. I think it could be a really, really high-scoring match because the way that your two sides are set out this season is just goals, isn't it? With Salah and Morata and Hazard. So it's for me, it's either going to be a brilliant game or it's going to be a total non-event where you'll just play, cancel each other out. I hope from a neutral point of view that it's a really good game. I'm going into the game with Salah and Firmino and Alonso.
You've got to be pretty happy with having Alonso right now, I would say, haven't you?
Oh yeah, certainly.
You stuck with him for this long. He returned last week for you.
Yeah, and I had a little wobble about maybe 2 game weeks ago, I think, with Alonso as to whether I was keeping him or downgrading him to Azpilicueta or going off Chelsea defence altogether in order to enable me to get some other players in. However, the way Chelsea's fixtures are after this Liverpool game, there's no way I'm getting off Alonso now. I've got money in the bank. I don't need to free up money from transferring Alonso down. So for me, I'm absolutely sticking with him. I'm not really anticipating him getting a clean sheet in this game. I just think
attacking returns you could get right. Absolutely be there.
Absolutely.
And if you look at, I think it's a straight decision between either him or Azpilicueta. If you want a Chelsea defender, I like Christensen, and it feels like Conte likes him right now. But you've got the Luiz thing always hanging over him, right? At 5'4". Coming up to this period of rotation around Christmas, which we've discussed on previous vlogs, where you kind of want 15 players starting, or at least players that are not going to be high rotation risks. For me, Christensen, if you go for him, you've got to expect that he could be rotated. And so Azpilicueta and Alonso offer you those secure starts, but you've got to pay over the odds.
Particularly with the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Man City, Man United, Everton, Arsenal, playing Champions League and Europa League this week, games at the weekend and games midweek next week. That's a big period of
There'll be some
three big
rotation
games.
there.
There's definitely going to be some rotation there. So I think for me, yeah, I'm confident with Alonso, so he won't be going anywhere. Salah, 9 goals in his first 12 matches for Liverpool. Morata, 12 goals in his first 11 Premier League matches for Chelsea. It's got to be goals, hasn't it?
Well, I looked at some of the stats and some of the heat maps when Chelsea played West Brom last week, because clearly Chelsea beat West Brom 4-0 last week. Not much to say about West Brom other than, you know, that was the final nail in the coffin for Mr. Pulis, wasn't it? And now he's gone. You know, will they get a reaction from Pulis going against Spurs? I don't know. We'll come to Spurs and West Brom in a second. But from a Chelsea perspective in that game, they gave Fabregas the freedom of the pitch to do what he wanted in that game. And Fabregas is becoming, I don't know if you've noticed, but with certainly since Kante's been back, Kante is such a good player, such a good player, that he's just in there marshalling, breaking everything up. That just gives Fabregas the licence to do what he wants. So Conte gives him the freedom to do what he wants. If West Brom then give him the freedom to do what he wants as well, he is going to punish it, and he really did against them. I think he got maybe 1 or 2 assists in that game. They then went away to Qarabag, and when Qarabag went down to 10 men, again, that freed up so much space, and he got, I think, maybe 1, maybe 2 goals, a couple of assists as well. So Fabregas is really, really key to the way that Chelsea play right now. So if Liverpool can get in and around Fabregas, and I'm thinking an Emre Can sort of player, or a Henderson sort of player, if you can get in and around Fabregas and cut that space down and work hard to make sure that he doesn't have the space to do what he does best, you've got a chance against Chelsea.
It's actually very similar, isn't it, to the Ali and Eriksen situation at Spurs. You play them out of the game.
You can't give quality players like Eriksen and Fabregas time. Absolutely right.
I think, you know, Fabregas, I was really surprised when we were just looking at how many he's got as ownership. He's only got 4.9%.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, he's you know, we were talking about who we're going to have as our jammy picks before this, and I kind of went, well, what about Fabregas? And you said, no, he's over 5. I said
it will be well over 5, and he's not.
He's a smidgen under, he's 4.9, so from that perspective, you can just about call him a jammy pick and a differential
pick. As much as you can call any Chelsea player a jammy pick.
Yeah, right, I mean, absolutely. Am I thinking about getting on him?
I think he's got to go on the radar, definitely.
I think definitely on the radar, yeah, definitely on the radar. The other Chelsea players, I wouldn't necessarily say they're on the radar, because I think they're kind of a bit obvious. I mean, the Moratas and the Hazards, I think you want them.
Certainly, I think
the Azpilicuetas and the Alonsos, I think you want them.
Yeah, I think so.
But Fabregas is one that's out there that not everyone will pick. Still not that massively selected by the game. And, you know, all right, maybe not against Liverpool because we're a kind of hard work inside. But the Chelsea fixtures going forward that we've just discussed, he'll get assists, he'll get goals.
Okay, I will really struggle to call this game. I'm going to go for a high-scoring draw, 2-2, something like that.
Okay, so given that we've only conceded 1 at home all season, I can't see that it's going to be too high scoring. I think if anything, I'm the opposite. I think it might be cagey. I don't see that we're going...
boring.
It's going to be interesting on those wings, right? Because you're going to have Mane and Salah probably, and you're going to have them up against, you know, Alonso on one side, and it's going to be, you know, who... Are the Liverpool players going to track back, and the Chelsea players going to be tracking back, or is it just all about... Attack. I don't know.
Be interesting, won't it? Be an interesting game to watch on Saturday night.
I think so. I think it's an interesting game. I've got to back us because we're at home, and I've got to back us because it's us. I've got to. I'm going into the game with just Salah, and I'm kind of happy that I've just got Salah and nobody else, because I think the game is kind of hard.
No Chelsea players.
No Chelsea players right now. That's going to change going forward, which we'll come to later on. But for now, I think I would just about back Liverpool because I got to.
Okay.
Fabregas on the radar, though, definitely.
Right then. Should we rewind a day and talk about the Friday night game?
Oh, of course, it's a Friday deadline, isn't it?
Yeah, so don't forget, you got an early deadline tomorrow.
What's the game?
It's West Ham versus Leicester.
Okay.
Now, Friday night games are always quite a bit of quite high scoring usually, as they have been so far this season, haven't they? Okay. Well, yeah, because we had Arsenal and Leicester on the opening game of the season.
Yeah.
We had another one that had a high goals. I can't remember how many goals it was now, but it was a lot. So potentially we could have a decent game on our hands on Friday night.
Who's on the radar from this game?
So Lanzini's going on the radar.
Lanzini?
Yeah, at West Ham. So he's recently come back from injury. He's played the last four game weeks, played the full 90 minutes.
Points? I haven't noticed him.
No, he isn't. Well, nobody from West Ham is at the moment, let's be frank.
I was going to say that they're better form.
They are, absolutely. But for me, if it's going to turn around anywhere at West Ham, given that Chicharito is out, I think he's the one that seems to be driving West Ham at the moment. So he's had more shots in the last 4 games than any other player. It's 9 shots. 5 of those have been on target.
Any other West Ham player?
Yeah.
Okay.
Leicester have only kept 1 clean sheet away from home so far. So, you know, there's an opportunity there if West Ham can make the most of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I think
West Ham's home form hit and miss. Just looking at this, 2 out of the last 5, 2 wins out of 5, the other 3 defeats. So
I mean, the last
it's a bit
time
binary.
the last time we backed West Ham for anything, it was a complete disaster. If you remember,
When was that?
A couple of game weeks ago, and we were like, yeah, West Ham, yeah, we were right this game week, and then a nightmare. So yeah,
Bilic got fired.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with West Ham for this one. Also, Leicester are yet to win a Premier League game on a Friday night, but they have got 15 goals.
How many games would they have played on a Friday night?
Something like 4.
Leicester have yet to win a game on a Friday night out of the 2 they've played.
No, but they've scored 15 goals.
Okay.
So they've scored 15 goals,
Right.
but they don't win games.
Listen,
Ridiculous.
I'm not arguing with
Anyway.
your stats. You're not. As usual, you've prepped and I haven't. So go
I
on.
think
You've
I'm
got
going
the
to go
stats.
for. I think I'm going to go against the form on this one. I think I'm going to go for West Ham victory.
All right. Okay. West Ham victory.
But yeah, Lanzini on the radar.
Okay. Next game. Let's pick out a couple of decent games. Go on, because last vlog we went through it alphabetically, and it took us ages to get to Man City, and I really wanted to talk about.
Let's talk about Man City then.
Go on.
They're the last game, but go on. Huddersfield versus Man City.
When's that? Is that a Monday or a Sunday?
Sunday 4:00, and then the games start again on Tuesday, don't they? But yeah,
It's taking
go on
fast,
then.
isn't it? I love it.
You want to talk about Man City, my angel? Let's talk about Man
Okay,
City.
I'm happy to. So Huddersfield, I don't think I've got open L this game.
Otamendi's back from his suspension.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'm thinking is that Huddersfield's home form isn't actually as bad as their away form or their overall form. I think they've got 1 defeat. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, 1 defeat in 6 at home, 3 wins, couple of draws. So a little bit mixed at home. But, you know, look, it's Man City. I mean, they're phenomenal.
They'll set a record for the most consecutive away wins scored by an English club in top flight.
I mean, let's not
11.
talk too much about who we think's going to win, because I'm pretty sure City are going to win this game. Let's talk about FPL assets. So, as usual, we always do, and maybe we should make this a feature. Who have you got in the Pep Lottery? So, who's in the Pep Lottery for you this week? Otamendi.
Well, I've got Otamendi. I've got Otamendi back, obviously, this week. And I think that's probably... I was a little bit apprehensive, if you recall, last week with Company coming back as to whether Otamendi would start. But with Stones being injured now, I think Otamendi...
I think that does you a favour with Otamendi, doesn't it?
I think so. So I think I'm fairly safe
Stones
with Otamendi.
out for a bit.
Yeah, so I think I'm fairly safe now with Otamendi again. And I've got David Silva still.
Okay, all right.
So that's where I am. I'm not going to get involved in any of the others. I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to look up City as to who started in the Champions League for them.
So I don't think Jesus started. I might have got this wrong again. We should have looked at this before we come on. But I'm reasonably comfortable going into the game with Jesus against Huddersfield. But again, because it's an away game, he seems to fancy Jesus in the away game. So I'm kind of happy going into it with that. I think Sané was rested as well for the Napoli game, or maybe didn't start, maybe. I don't know if he played at all, but I don't think he started. So again, if I was a Sané owner, I'd be pretty happy with that going into the weekend. A lot of people looking to captain Sané as well as a bit of a differential this week, right? Well, look at the facts. Just look at the stats, right?
Yeah,
The guy is,
so.
I think he's the top scoring midfielder in the game right now. A lot of people have got him. A lot of people are going to be backing Kane, Lukaku, those sorts of players. You know, maybe we're missing a trick with some of these midfielders. You and I sit here and we go, oh, well, we'll do a Kane or we'll do a Lukaku because it's our big money spend. There are big money forwards, are the premium forwards that we expect to get big captain hauls. Look, last week, Salah come up, 2 goals, 3 bonus points. He's the one to captain. Maybe Sané is this week's Salah.
Okay, so they beat Feyenoord. Sterling scored the goal.
They beat Feyenoord. There's me saying they played Napoli. They played Feyenoord, did they?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
they beat
Are you
them 1-0.
sure?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
Tuesday the 21st of No.
Are you sure it's not a wrong
Tuesday the
year?
21st. No, it's not the wrong year.
This is how up to speed I am with City in the Champions League. All right, so they beat Feyenoord. Sterling got the goal, so that's them through. Happy days. Jesus, I'm happy to keep and own for now. Although I noticed that actually on Twitter, Pep came out with a quote. Did you see this? He came out with a quote and said, because Mendy isn't playing, he needs Sané to kind of start on that side on the left-hand side because he gives him the width and the pace that he needs on the wings.
Right.
And whenever he starts Sané, I can't remember the exact quote. I'll dig it out and I'll put a tweet on the left-hand side of this video that says the quote. But he talks about the fact that with Sané playing, he said that's why Aguero and Jesus don't play together. So that for me gives a massive indication that neither Aguero nor Jesus is nailed on for a start. And they'll be rotated, but also that Sané is nailed on for a start and probably won't be rotated. So I'm actually thinking that Jesus and or Aguero are not the ways to go, and actually Sané is the way to go.
Okay, so in this game against Feyenoord, or Napoli, Aguero started, Jesus came on for De Bruyne.
Okay.
Sterling played the game. Silva didn't play at all, nor did Sané. Sané didn't make the squad, so he had a complete rest. Silva never played.
Sané, okay, yeah.
So yeah, otherwise it was fairly standard. So yeah, interesting that Aguero started it. Jesus came on in the 64th minute, probably because they wanted a goal. Because they didn't score until the 88th. Yeah, sure. Otherwise, probably would have had a full rest. I would have thought. So yeah, interesting.
So what do you make of those Pep comments then? Does that make you more or less likely to go for Sané, and does it make you more or less likely to go for Aguero or Jesus?
I'm definitely not going for Jesus or Aguero. Okay. I definitely don't want to be involved in that. I have moments with Sané where I think he looks like he's fairly nailed on every week. So maybe I should be swapping Silva to him.
It should be a pretty straightforward swap if you wanted to. Sané's up at 9 now, I think. Or maybe 8-9.
You know, I could do that. I have got the money to do it. I could do it. I don't really like those sideways movements within play. You know, within teams, it feels a bit of a sideways switch.
I think it does. Silva's going to give you that regular ticking over of assists, but Sané gets in such dangerous positions and he can get goals. The thing that makes me think, the thing that's maybe stopping me getting Sané is have I missed the boat with him a little bit? Because I'm kind of thinking...
Well, it's not a differential anymore, is he?
Well, not necessarily. Plus I'm looking at the dynamic of my team, I'm thinking, can I have him and Hazard? That's very hard to achieve right now without changing completely my setup and going 3-5-2 and going one cheap up top, same as you. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with that as a strategy, by the way.
There's definitely not. And actually, I feel far more comfortable because that's how I normally play the game, actually. So could I go 3-5-2 and get Hazard and Sané in the middle? Maybe. But right now, if I wanted Hazard and Sané, I'd have to pick between the two. And right now, I really want Hazard. Mainly because I feel like he's just getting going. And with Sané, I feel like I've missed the boat a little bit.
It's still like I said last week in our last video. I really feel that if you go with the likes of Morata and Hazard, you are getting the big fish in that Chelsea team. They are the ones that are going to be driving the points. Yes, there's going to be points for other players in that team. Certainly, the likes of Fabregas, the likes of Alonso, they're going to get points. But the majority of their points are going to come from people like Morata and Hazard.
Yeah, right.
At City, I mean... barely a game where it's like 5 different players that are scoring goals or getting in on the assists, or you can't go, oh, that one is going to get me a hatful of the week.
But those comments from Pep, that is such a big comment, isn't it?
I'm not saying that he's a rotation risk in the slightest, but what I'm saying is that with Sané, in the Man City team is the way they are, he could easily get you 1 goal every week. But with which would be great. But with Hazard, he could easily get you...
He's explosive, isn't he?
Yeah, and because he's a big fish, he could easily get you a goal and an assist every week. Okay. So if there's a choice between the two...
$1.5 million more, you think that's worth it?
I do.
Okay.
Particularly with Chelsea's fixtures the way that they are, yes, I do.
Okay, well, listen, I think that debate is going to rumble on, and I think we've kind of gone a bit forward in the video in terms of what I'm thinking for transfers. Because at the minute, I'm thinking I'm probably going to save this game week. There's plenty I could do, but I'm thinking I want to save on the basis that I fancy a bit of an overhaul of my team. I fancy a bit of a move to 3-5-2. I think the dynamic of the game is shifting towards the midfielders, simply because there's probably 3 big hitters you want in the middle of the park. And there's also this kind of emergence of the third striker. So we've seen what Callum Wilson can do for Bournemouth. Once Tammy Abraham finds his shooting boots and he comes back from his back injury, then he'll be an option again. Niasse at Everton, all right, he's got this 2-game ban for diving, but he's going to be back in a couple of games. He's an option as well, in my opinion. All of a sudden, you've got a viable third striker option.
It's tough.
So it's going to rumble on and on. Let's move on. What game next?
Well, let's go to Spurs, shall we, as we're hitting the top 4. So Spurs versus West Brom. Now, we were standing in the queue for a ride, weren't we? And you went, oh, West Brom has sacked the manager. And I was like, no, not just before our game. Nightmare.
Do you think there's a reaction then from West Brom?
I hate it when this happens just before a fixture. Yeah, there normally is, isn't there?
I haven't recruited anybody yet, though, right?
And I haven't heard any links either. I haven't heard any mutterings yet.
No.
So I don't know that there is anything in the pipelines
Sam
yet.
Allardyce on speed dial, probably.
Well, he can come in if he likes. I don't think there'll be a reaction if he does.
No.
I would like to think the way that West Brom have been playing in the last few weeks, that it shouldn't be an issue for us against them this week. However, there is always that fear when you've just sacked a manager. A big change like that can cause a reaction, can't it?
So go on then, you're going Spurs home win?
Yeah, but they've taken more points against us away from home than any other team apart from Newcastle and Liverpool. So
behave yourself. You will batter them at the weekend.
Yeah, but you said this in the derby. And what happened? We lost.
The Arsenal game?
You said, literally, we're sitting over there, game kicks off and he goes, you're going to batter them. And I went, I don't know about that. 2-0 we lost.
But listen, so when Arsenal on their day, I've got players that can come to the fore on a one-off game, the crowd gets behind them, Ozil and Sanchez turned up and they were phenomenal. West Brom, if Hegazi and Dawson and Rondon turn up, that's not as big a problem as
Rondon turn up.
Rondon's the one.
You watch him turn up.
This is the week to have him. So listen, you're going to batter them at the weekend. If they take the same approach they did against Chelsea, which was to give Fabregas all that space, and they give Eriksen that sort of space at the weekend, I am going to be one happy Christian Eriksen owner on Sunday, because he is going to create. And what we've seen from Spurs, we've seen it week in, week out. If you sit deep and you deny Eriksen that space, Harry Kane is less effective because Eriksen's not delivering for him. I think owning Eriksen and Kane this game week, I'm more than happy to be sitting on both of those two.
Going to take a risk and captain Eriksen?
No, I'm not going to do that, because I think he's going to provide for Kane, and we've already seen that Kane can be really explosive at home when he plays a team.
What was that stat you had about
really
Kane and his
Oh, I've got to dig this out. This is phenomenal. So yeah, bear with me while I find this, because this was incredible.
It's not even me being a biased Spurs fan now when Lee came up with this.
This is great. So this was on Fantasy Football Scout, for those of you that use that website, and there was a chap on there called Chappelle. When did he do this? About 8 hours ago from now, so midday-ish today. And he's just put a little stat on there that says Kane's next 4 fixtures and his performance against those teams last season. So his next 4 fixtures: West Brom at home, Leicester away, Watford away, Stoke home. Now clearly those 4 weren't together last year, but if you take those 4 fixtures from last year, West Brom at home he got 17 points, Kane. Leicester away he got 24 points. Don't know what he did there, but he got a hat-trick and more. Watford away 16 points, Stoke at home 20 points. He likes playing these teams. He's got really good recent record as going back to last year on these teams. 12 goals, 3 assists against those 4 opponents last year, and now he's got them 4 in a row for the next 4 game weeks.
Well, I hope you're right, because I'm captaining him, so there we go.
The only thing is this niggle, right? And we saw it in the Dortmund game. I think he was still pretty strapped up.
He was strapped up, but you've only got to look at his performance against Arsenal and his performance against Dortmund to know that there was a definite... He wasn't right against Arsenal on the weekend, and he was better. And
you've got to believe that Poch is not stupid enough that if he really had a problem at the end of that Arsenal game, he'd go into that Dortmund game and flog him, because you've got to protect him. It was a bit of a dead rub at the Dortmund game. You're through, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I said to you on Saturday night, I didn't think we would see Ali or Kane against Dortmund, and I honestly didn't believe that they would play, because they both went off that pitch not looking 100%. They didn't look like they were back from injury. But Pochettino does not risk players if they are not right. The fact that they played against Dortmund in a game we needed to win to top the group, but we didn't need to win it. We were qualified. He would not have risked them if they were not fully fit. The fact that he risked them in that game, they're fit. And so, yeah, I hope we'll win that game. Yeah. We should win that game.
I think you'll easily win that game. I think they'll give Eriksen too much space. I'm expecting Eriksen to perform, and then on that basis, expecting Kane to perform.
Okay, let's... do you want to...
No, I was going to then say probably Captain Kane, but we'll come to that a bit later on.
Okay, let's move on to the other big Manchester club then. Let's talk about United. Now, they've got what I think is quite a tricky fixture, actually, because they got Brighton coming.
Brighton at Old Trafford?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Brighton are... They're all right at the moment.
Okay. Let's have a look at Brighton's away form.
I don't know what their away form is like, but Brighton of late have looked good. If you've got any Brighton, well, I don't know if you would have many, and we've talked about Duncan Duffy before.
Yeah.
And I did, the reason I decided to get me rather than Duffy last week was because of this fixture. I was particularly concerned about this fixture.
I can't see a clean sheet for Brighton here.
No, nor can I. But I also don't think that Brighton are pushovers, so I don't think it will be easy for United in this game. I think United will win the game. With Pogba back, they look an entirely different team again.
It's weird, isn't it? Because you kind of, with United, you get one or two teams. You either get the team that doesn't want to lose, which is the team we saw in Basel and the team we saw at Anfield, where Jose goes and he parks the bus and he maybe gets a 0-0, or if you park the bus enough, you're going to end up losing 1-0 at some stage, which is what happened in Basel. Or you get a team which wants to go and attack, thinks they can win the game, and they win 4-0, 4-1. I happen to think this is a game where they will think and believe that they're going to win. Pogba's back, absolutely right. That changes the dynamic.
Be interesting to see if Mkhitaryan plays.
Yeah, it will actually, won't it? Because he's been off form, but didn't play in the last game when they won at home to, can't remember who it was.
Just for me, so Pogba is now back at 8 million, so he becomes a really interesting fantasy asset again. He's definitely on the radar. Do you want Pogba?
Because people are flocking to him.
Yeah, so he's had something, I wrote it down, 241,000 transfers in since Saturday's game, or since the deadline on Saturday for the last game week. Do I want him? I'm not sure. I think so. But I'm just wary of that United team that goes and parks the bus. Now, so I'm interested to see whether all those games where they've parked the bus is when Pogba was injured and wasn't playing. So what I'm interested to see is whether United go play that way with Pogba playing or not. And I'm also interested to see what happens with Mkhitaryan, because those opening few games of the season, Mkhitaryan and Pogba together, they were a force to be reckoned with. And so, yeah, I think I'm watching the two of them really closely, and they're both on the radar this week.
Okay. Well, let's develop the theme further then, because United, Brighton at home, then Watford away. Watford away? Which of the two United teams are we going to get there?
Well, I don't see. This is the dilemma, isn't it? Because actually, Watford is a difficult place to go to.
It certainly is. Yeah.
It's not an easy fixture. Watford will. The difference, I think, is that Watford will want to play. They'll want to win at home.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Arsenal away after that, you're probably going to get the park the bus team. Then they go to City. Are they going to go out and play there? Possibly not. They're at home to City, but if you go and attack City, you know what's going to happen, right? They're going to kill you. And then, all right, home to Bournemouth in game week 17, you think they're going to go out and try and win that. So, feasibly then, 14, 15 and 16, are you getting Pogba in for 3 games where you may get the Mourinho team which tries not to lose rather than the team that goes out to win 4-0.
And this is why I'm watching them. This is why I haven't got on this bandwagon. Because for me, at the moment, I know Pogba's only 8, but I'd probably be looking to... I wouldn't be looking on to upgrade one of my cheaper ones because I want to do the Hazard thing that we've talked about before. So I'd be looking probably at a switch from somebody probably like... Well, I don't want to lose Silva, so...
Richarlison, maybe?
Richarlison, potentially, which they have got some tough fixtures coming up, so maybe...
He's doing all right, Richarlison.
But he's ticking over the points, got me some more points this week. I don't know. I'm watching. It's a watching brief, I think, for United and Pogba and co.
And as a Lukaku owner...
Interesting, because I obviously haven't had him yet.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to this
I wouldn't be rushing to him right now.
No,
I mean, I've watched a bit of United recently, and I don't think that he's... I don't know. I think he's lost a little bit of vavavoom recently. I mean, even the last game they played, and again, sorry, I can't remember, but they won, I think, 4-0 in the end, and he did get a goal towards the end. But it was Pogba that was the driving force in that win. He looked a bit static, actually, Lukaku. Looked a little bit kind of off the pace, which is surprising because he's not lacking match fitness. He has been playing games. So for me, I'm talking about this kind of revolution I'm about to have in my fantasy team. He could be one of the casualties, absolutely, because that 3-game stretch of Watford, Arsenal, Man City, I don't fancy him to be explosive during that.
And at the same time, Morata has got...
Quite right. Yeah, quite right. So during that spell, I'm looking for Morata to maybe come to the fore, or I'm looking to do a downgrade so that I do go to this 3-5-2 and maybe looking at a Wilson or a Nias.
Oh, of course,
and then I
you've
can
got
go
3, haven't you?
And then I can go Hazard, I can go Sané, I can start filling my midfield with the players that I actually want.
Okay,
so
interesting.
It's Lukaku for me could be the casualty or the main casualty from my mini wildcard that I'm looking to embark upon. Having said that, go back to I've got Jesus as well, which again we've just discussed as a rotation risk. So big changes coming to my FPL team.
All right, well let's
pretty soon I think.
Let's go the other side of North London then and talk about Arsenal, because I think they've got a really, really tough fixture this weekend.
Aren't they away at Burnley?
They are indeed away
Tough,
at Burnley, and Turf Moor is a hard place to go this
Hell
season.
Yeah, Burnley are very tough to play,
resolute
right?
this season. Yeah, really good.
Is this the sort of game that Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez are going to turn up and go,
Sanchez
do you know
has
what?
never scored against Burnley.
Well, are they buzzing to go to Turf Moor?
No, they're not buzzing to go
right?
anywhere. They were buzzing for the derby. That's about all they buzz for. Although, having said that, Ozil has created more goal-scoring opportunities from open play than any other midfielder in the game this season.
Oh, listen. So his quality is unquestionable, right? His quality is unquestionable, and so is Sanchez. But what I'm saying is this another game where they go, oh, Christ, got to go away to Burnley? Sorry, Burnley. And there's no disrespect to Burnley because they are having a cracking season. But if I'm an Arsenal player, if I'm Ozil or Sanchez, can I get up for that game in the same way I got up for the North London derby? I don't think so.
The way the rest of this season has gone would suggest no.
Well,
they only get up for the big games.
Quite possibly.
Burnley, on the other hand, will be loving this fixture. They'll be well up for it. They'll be wanting to take points off of them.
Do you know what? I think you're bang on with that. I think you're absolutely bang on, because if I'm Burnley and I'm a Burnley fan, I'm looking forward to Arsenal coming at the weekend. I'm absolutely looking forward to it because they're on a nice run of form. They're looking very hard to beat. They're gonna first 5-10 minutes, bang, crunch Ozil and just take him out of the game. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, they've just got to be resilient. My one thing is, I think Arsenal look far better with both Koscielny and Mustafi in the game. And Mustafi is one that you need to put on the radar, by the way, because he's got, he's in a very, very good bit of form, and Arsenal are looking pretty good with him back.
Yeah.
I think he scored last game week as well.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, of course, North London derby. So Mustafi's one to have a look at. Can Burnley breach that Arsenal back four?
Well, to be honest,
back five, I should say.
The way Burnley are playing this season, the way that their defence is this season,
maybe.
I think there's a good chance.
Any
that
Burnley
players
players on the radar? I mean, clearly you've got the Popes and the Mees and the Janaszewskis and all those guys.
They're always on there. They kind
Janaszewski, who's that? Tarkowski, I mean, don't
they're
they?
kind
Tarkowski.
of. I think particularly Me and Pope, they're ever stays on the radar, really, aren't they?
They've got to be, yeah.
But yeah, I actually think I might punt for a cheeky Burnley victory.
Of course you are. Take your Spurs goggles off, Mrs. Take your Spurs goggles off. Is that on TV, by the way? Because I quite fancy watching that game.
Yes, it is.
I hope it is.
Yeah, I think Southampton and Everton to bore us first, and then Burnley and Arsenal.
Hey, listen, let's go there next. There's nothing boring about Southampton versus Everton. That, if you want, is an early season 6-pointer. There is two massive clubs there that need to win.
Yeah, but they're both useless.
Yeah, but they both. Southampton desperately needs something. Pellegrini needs to save his job. Everton desperately needs something. Look, that's a very difficult one to call.
Everton are winless in 14 away matches in the Premier League.
God, are they really?
14 away matches in the Premier League. They're not going to win a game.
You're right. Third bottom for form.
They're terrible.
Away from home.
So they're not going to win the game.
Lost, drawn.
14 away matches. They've not yet won a game.
Goodness me.
Southampton. They just look awful, don't they?
You just get the feeling that's a kind of, I don't know, 1-0, 2-1 goals from set pieces. I can't see that there's that much creativity in either of those sides. I mean, it's kind of the sort of game that's crying out for a Sigurdsson to kind of pop up with a free kick or something. You're right. No Nias for Everton,
something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the other thing is that Everton are playing right now. All right, they're at home. They're losing, by the way, to Atalanta. Everton fans, goodness me, they're losing at home to Atalanta.
There's no fans there. Look at that stadium. It's empty.
God, it's tricky.
What is happening at Everton?
So they've got to play this game on a Thursday. They've then got to travel all the way south to Southampton. It's a long old journey on a Sunday. That's very difficult for Everton. It's a very difficult game.
Look, I think there's going to be a 0-0 draw. There's nothing magic in either of those teams.
That is so uninspirational. Any radar picks for you from that game?
No.
Okay.
No, look, Nias would have been on the radar, but obviously he's got too much ban, so I'm not putting him on the radar. He can go on the radar in too much his time, but I think he was looking like the spark with Everton. He was looking like the one that might do something.
Yeah, I agree.
And without him, I think they'll struggle. Unless, like you say, Siggy, I mean, they've got the players there, but can they turn up?
Just something's not quite right. They need a manager, don't they? They need a manager.
They desperately need a manager.
I fancy Southampton to get something there just because they have to. Pellegrino has to get something out of that game, and I just think I can just see that Everton will be knackered from this game. I don't know. I just think so. I just got a feeling for Southampton. Don't know why.
Southampton fans will be hoping that you're right.
Absolutely.
Other teams struggling then. Let's go to Swansea. So they've got to play Bournemouth. For me...
Swansea very sticky at the minute, isn't it? Not looking good.
And if Tammy doesn't play, he's 50-50 the last I heard for this game. If he doesn't make it, I can't see where else the magic's coming from.
You're going to do the obvious thing and put Callum Wilson on the radar, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you got to.
He's only owned by 1.8% of fantasy teams, and for me, I'm in a bit of a funny quandary with my transfer this week because I'm sort of thinking what you're thinking, which is stick this week, don't make a sub, have 2 transfers available for the midweek games.
Yeah, sure. You fancy Tammy to Callum Wilson though, don't you? I can see it.
I do fancy him.
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
I do.
Against that Swans back line.
I do fancy that, but then I'm sort of thinking, am I doing that because I see more value in Callum Wilson moving forward than I do in Tammy? And that's where my stickiness has come.
Okay.
Because I see value in Callum Wilson for this game, and Bournemouth have got some nice fixtures coming up, but if Swansea turn a corner, which I think they will, they're a decent side, Swansea. Tammy Abraham could net me a few moving forward when he's fit again.
Swansea home fixtures last 6, 1 win, 5 defeats in the last 6 at home. They are poor,
which is why I'm erring. And I've been back and forth, and I've had it transfer. And then gone, I'll have a think about it.
All right, so I'm back in Bournemouth that game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I can't see it being a high scoring game.
I'm playing Charlie Daniels, put it that way.
Yeah. Bournemouth they've won their last 2 away from home.
Yeah.
Maybe hitting their stride a bit, like you say, players coming back, as we've discussed before on these vlogs. Swansea terrible at home. I can see an away victory, or it may just be a boring draw. Don't know. Don't know.
Okay, last 2 games really quickly then.
Yep.
Palace and Stoke.
Yeah. At Palace?
At Palace.
Fancy to get a win there?
Yeah, Palace unbeaten in last 4, I think, home games against Stoke. I fancy Palace, really.
They're unbeaten in their last 3 at home. All right, 1 win and 2 draws is hardly inspirational, but they just... I think what Roy's coming in to do is try and make the Palace ground that's names escapes me, Selhurst Park. He's trying to make Selhurst Park a little bit more of a fortress. Zaha's coming to the fore a bit more. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I think, I'm definitely playing him this week. I think he looks really, really good.
Didn't do the Speroni thing?
No, I didn't. I think if I was on a wild card, I probably would do it because I think that was a good shout actually last week. Because he does look as if he fancies Speroni over Hennessy, right? And as a 4.0 playing goalkeeper, I think you go there. However, I've got far more stuff I need to sort out in my team than my goalkeeper.
It's just freeing up money, really,
I saw that
isn't it?
Foster dropped in price. You see that? So Foster's now 4-4, so that's 0.1 gone in my team in a very annoying way that I kind of didn't foresee. But nevertheless,
with goalkeepers, they don't usually drop, do you know?
No, but I think a lot of people are getting off him because West Brom are that bad and going to Speroni. Yeah, or indeed they're going to Elliott if they've not got him already. So, yes, I would go for a Palace winning that game, and I would back Zaha to do quite well, I think.
Okay, and then finally, Newcastle and Watford. I don't know with this
Would Charlison to keep going on his little run of form that he's got?
Well, if Watford win this game, they will have won more away games this season than they did in the whole of last season.
Oh, really?
More points from the games. So last season they only got 12 points away from home. And this season, if they win this game, they'll have 13 already. So they are playing better. They're looking stronger. Richarlison's looking solid.
Looking the real deal, I think, Richarlison.
I agree. I don't know. There's something. I don't know.
Newcastle resilient at home, right?
They
so Benitez
are.
sets them out, and they do a really good job at home. So they've got a bit. They've played in their last 6, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. So mixed. And then if you look at Watford's away form started off great, 3 away wins and a draw, and then 2 defeats. Am I keeping you up?
You're sorry.
So there's late nights out with Donald Duck over the last week or so, isn't it?
God.
And if you look at Watford's away form, started off great and then 1 draw and then 2 defeats. So kind of going off the boil a little bit. Difficult to call. I'm going to back Newcastle to be resilient at home and find a little bit of form there.
It's tough, right? Because I'm going to be playing Elliot because I don't fancy Foster. But I'm also going to be playing Richarlison, so it's going to be a conflicting...
Oh, you can't play Foster at Wembley.
No, exactly. So I'm playing Elliot, but I also am going to play Richarlison because
we need Speroni. This is what it is. We need Speroni. Who's on the radar from that game? Newcastle-Watford. Going to keep Holebas on there?
I'm going to keep Holebas on there, yeah,
okay.
because I think he's got potential.
Kiko Firmino, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any Newcastle players? Richie, maybe? Hosselu?
Well, they've all been there before, haven't they? And
keep waiting for them to find a bit of FPL form, don't we?
I think I just want to see something from them before I go all out there and stick them on the radar.
Yeah, Hosselu was on the radar for some time, wasn't he?
Because we kept expecting it. We kept expecting something, and it didn't come, did it?
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway. Maybe it'll turn up on the weekend.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right, then. So, talk to me about your thinking for your transfers this game week, then.
Okay, so current state of play is I'm quite happy with my team. My plan was no transfers, 2 for the midweek game, which would allow me to do my Hazard in transfer. Yeah. But there is a real nigger with me that wants to do Callum Wilson, so I'm gonna see, and I'm probably gonna make this decision tomorrow night, just before the deadline. Okay.
So I'm holding simply because there's plenty of things I could do. Actually, plenty of things I could do. I'm looking at the players that I want out of my team, primarily Lukaku and Eriksen. I look at their 2 fixtures for this week, and I think that is madness to take either of those 2 guys out. So I do want them for this week. So on that basis, I'm going to stick. I can easily get a decent 11 out. I'm pretty confident Jesus is going to play for City, given he didn't play against Feyenoord, not Napoli.
He played 26 minutes.
He played a bit, but I think and I think Pep seems
played the whole lot. So
yeah, and I think Pep seems to fancy him away from home a bit more.
Will he play both games?
Say again?
Will he play the weekend? Are you just delaying a problem for midweek?
Maybe, but it's the Pep lottery, right? I mean, ultimately, I think I want Sané after what Pep said. I mean, that is, I think I do want Sané, but then I also want Hazard. So there's a lot of players I want. There's a lot of players I want out. On that basis, I need to hold my transfer because I want at least 2 free transfers coming into Tuesday. There's a good chance that I don't know, maybe looking at an 8-point hit because that would give me...
with your 2 transfers?
Yeah, because that would give me 4 transfers and you could radically redesign my team, which is what I'm looking at it, right? I think there's a change in FPL right now where there's viable cheap third striker options and the value is coming in midfield. The Pogba's coming back, who I might want if I've not got Lukaku. Sané I want. Hazard I want.
Wow.
Morata I want instead of Jesus up front. So there's a lot I need to do, and it might mean taking a few hits. But for this game week, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. I think Eriksen's going to do all right against West Brom, and I think Lukaku's going to do all right against Brighton at home. So I'm kind of happy to stick with those guys. What will be interesting is say Eriksen pops up with 2 goals against West Brom. Am I going to keep him? Probably not. He could have a great points all at the weekend. I'm probably still going to get rid of him.
Are you?
Well, I want Hazard. And I think if you don't want Hazard right now, you're probably not doing it right. I think Hazard is absolutely one to have. After that Liverpool game, he looks phenomenal fixtures-wise. He's in form. He's on pens. Chelsea look good.
You're blowing my mind tonight.
All right. Well, I think this is the one. So even if Eriksen performs, I think he's my transfer out for one of my transfers out.
I hope he doesn't perform for you now.
If he doesn't, he's definitely out.
He's watching this and says,
if he doesn't, he's definitely out.
On your bike.
So on that basis, I think hold. Captain for me is Kane this game week.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, I've looked at Eriksen potentially as a differential. I've looked at
I hate
Lukaku.
going into game weeks where you've got the same captain as me. It's so boring.
Yeah, but that's
captain someone else.
That'll change going forward because the Hazard looks a good armband pick. Lukaku potentially is an armband pick for this game week, being at home to Brighton. But again, with his form, I'm not convinced that he's going to be the one. So Kane for me, given that I think West Brom, I hear what you're saying about the Pulis effect and the reaction they might get, but I can't see it. I think you'll have far too much for them at Wembley, and Eriksen will pull the strings. Okay,
my jammy pick this week is going to be Lanzini at West Ham.
Lanzini?
He's only owned by 0.6%, so he is a
proper
huge differential.
Okay. He's not really shown us anything in FPL recently.
So he hasn't in terms of points yet, but if you look at his underlying data and the statistics behind him in the last 4 games, he is the one that is making a difference at West Ham.
Okay.
If come Friday night West Ham can get on the end of the crosshairs, the opportunities that he's creating, if he can get the most out of the opportunities that they're giving him, nine opportunities he's had in the last 4 games. That's it's wasteful how he's been lately. Against the Leicester side, who haven't kept clean sheets away from home, aren't looking that strong away from home. The opportunity's there, I think. So,
right.
Lanzini.
I kind of like it. And this is what we try and do with Jammy Pick, is we try and pick them before the points haul, right? I think you could quite easily go for maybe Callum Wilson this game week at Swansea, but on the back of the hat-trick, not that jammy a pick, is it? Because he's in a bit of form or whatever. I think he's under 5% owned, right?
So
he could have been.
He
could have been. Yeah. And if you Fabregas was the other one, wasn't he? 4.9 up and 4.9 so he just about squeaks in as a differential.
I'm not sure about this Chelsea players. You wouldn't let me have Hazard when he was under that ownership.
Because he's Chelsea.
Because he's Chelsea, so I don't think you can have Fabregas.
All right, well I can't have Fabregas then. So you're going Lanzini for your jammy pick. I kind of like that. Top points pick for this game week. There's a few candidates actually, but I kind of like Eriksen. I think we've talked about it a lot.
But yet you won't captain him.
No, but I feel far safer going with Kane because I think Eriksen's going to be the creator in chief. If I went with Captain Eriksen, that's a big risk, right? Because I think I'm in almost like a minority now. A lot of people are off of Eriksen, so if I've got him, I'm happy to have him because he's a good differential.
Okay.
But if he plays well, then you do definitely need to go to bed early. This is terrible.
I'm so sorry.
We'll try and edit that out. Maybe I'll just do like a line down the middle and just stop you yawning.
Next time I'll just do this.
Lean to that way if you need to yawn.
And then come back in.
So I'm going Eriksen as my top points pick. I've mentioned him a lot on this vlog, so it's wrong for me to not stick by him. I think if West Brom give him the sort of time they gave Fabregas last week, he's going to devastate.
Well, I really
devastate that West Brom side.
Obviously, I hope that happens.
All right, jammy pick Lanzini, top points pick Eriksen.
Captain's Kane.
Captain's Kane. I think that's going to be I think people are going to generally go with that, right?
I should have thought
Captain Kane seems like the popular pick.
Oh, we've got a visit from the other cat list tonight.
There he is. I think Kane's a popular pick. People will be going Lukaku. It's a global game. People like captain the United player. He will be a popular pick. Outside of that, who else are people going to captain? So Liverpool and Chelsea kind of out because they're playing each other. Those are the two obvious ones, aren't they? Two obvious ones. All right, I think that's it for this week. Look forward to another video on Sunday.
I mean, it can't be any longer than this one. We're already at 52 minutes.
There's a lot to talk about Sunday, isn't there? Because we're going to be reviewing Game Week 13. We're going to be looking ahead to 14, which is only going to be 48 hours after that because it starts on Tuesday.
Get yourself a cup of tea and some popcorn before you watch the next one. That's all I can say.
We have to rattle through it. Look out for that video. Remember that the game week deadline this game week is Friday night, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. normally, isn't it, before the Friday night kick-off? So keep an eye on that, guys. Don't wait till Saturday to do your transfers. Friday is the day to do it. West Ham versus Leicester.
Don't forget to like and share the videos.
Yes, keep following us on @FPLFamily on Twitter and on Instagram. Continue to like us and share the videos, subscribe. And I just noticed, actually, I did the Google Analytics thing on YouTube. And as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon, we had 13,000 views across all the videos. So thank you guys for your support. That is awesome. When you started this as a bit of a fun thing to do, to be fair, didn't we?
We used to talk about it anyway, so
we talk about it and thought we'd put it on a video. And here we are sitting here with 13,000 views. So thank you guys for your continued support and for keep liking us and following us. On that, we will see you on Sunday night where we'll upload our Game Week 13 reaction and I look forward to Game Week 14 in a single video.
We better have a flask of tea with us for that one.
Don't know how long that's going to be. Could be a big one, couldn't it? Could be a big one. Good luck in Game Week 13 and we will see you very soon.
Take care, guys. Bye.